Okay, so, hey everybody, Shane here, daily-astrocat.com. And oh boy, today we've got ourselves Friday. What do you know? It's the 12th of December, 12/12. So there's a portal if I've ever heard of one, right? Now, it's Friday and the moon in Virgo. The moon is in Virgo, and it's going to be void of course at 9:51 in the morning. Not a long void of course. It will enter Libra at 11:04, also in the morning, here on the East Coast. I always use the East Coast, United States times, astrology, right? The day starts off with a lingering challenge, from yesterday, kind of, right? But we're ready to move on, but others, they might not be. That's too bad for them. Just trust in your higher guidance. Look up the 1212 angel number if you have to, okay? It is essentially 2 so if you're on this journey with me, you know that is 444 is an important number for me. Guided by angels, right? You're on the right path. So just assume you're on the right path. Now, if you're on this journey with me, which if you're listening to this, I'd assume you are, it's a good thing to be doing. You're definitely on the right path because we give you insight every day into what's going to be topical and part of the mind, the group feel, the vibe of the day, right? Exactly. Now, the first step of this journey, though, is trusting yourself. It's not necessarily trusting me. It's trusting yourself, okay? We're at a spiritual and intellectual checkpoint right now as the moon crosses the south node. Well, why don't we talk about the south node all the time? Well, because it's implied, right? It's the head of the dragon, tail of the dragon. North node, it's always shown on the charts, and that's in Pisces right now. So that south node would be in Virgo. So as that moon passes through Virgo and heads towards an opposition with the planets that are in the latter portions of it, that being Saturn, which is conjunct with the North Node, and Neptune, which is a little bit, Neptune's far out there. So Neptune didn't go very far back into Pisces, not as far back as Saturn did. Okay? That is a karmic point where we're getting rid of things that are no longer serving us. It brings us back, okay? Now, did you lose the things that are no longer serving you? Take it back to the last eclipse, okay? The last eclipse occurred at that south node. Have you lost the things that are no longer serving you? What about updating your spiritual beliefs? Have you started to do that yet? And are you changing things up so as to become better supported materially? By getting rid of some stuff, you can do that, right? And we open ourselves up to new experiences and new ways of going out into this world and getting things to sustain us in this maddening 3D world that we live in, right? And lastly, have you yet signed up to win a free astrological chart reading from yours truly? Kind of interesting, right? Offered that yesterday. Just repeating it today. There was a bunch of you that signed up, and I appreciate that. So, hey, who knows? We will be putting that out there. I think December's already done. We got January coming up. I'm not quite sure if I want to do it with a new moon focus, so I do it later in the month, like I did this month, and just have that change, because we'll do it by the month, by the new moon, which is kind of interesting, an old way, right? An old cycle. Yeah, I think we might be able to do that. So the keyword is shedding. What are you shedding? What are you shedding? What do you need to shed in order to grow? Okay, so our color is pastel green because green is for Virgo and pastels are Libra as AF. Okay, so Mercury in Sagittarius has a surprise in store for us. Okay, why? Well, because Mercury just went sextile with Pluto. So anytime there's two sextile planets, from the two planets that are sextile, we have a yod point that'll form off in space. Now, most of the time, yods are formed when planets are already there. So if you have a yod in your chart, that's called the finger of God. And that shows up as something that, it's like, I don't want to say it's a destiny to do it or something like that, but it pertains good things, because basically there's two forces that are working together, those sextiles, which I love because they do work together well, that meet in a point in space. And that point in space where they meet is kind of unlikely, because that point would be it's what's called, it's quincunx to the two sextiles. So basically it's 5/12 of a circle. So those are planets that don't communicate very well together, right? They call it inconjunct. It's like, I've heard it described as something in your peripheral vision that you can't quite focus, you can't quite see. No matter how hard you try to turn and see it, it's there, you sense it's there, but you can't really see it. Now, with that being said, what do we have going on here? Well, this point would be between Sagittarius and Aquarius, and that would put it in dear old Capricorn. So opposite Capricorn, look up what's opposite Capricorn, and you'll find out where that yod point will meet. I'm going to go into it in detail on our newsletter, and I'm going to put it out tomorrow morning very quickly to the new email list, right? And it'll have a chart in it, and it will also, show you where that point is, because that way when planets enter that place, right, that's where it becomes interesting. And just in case you're wondering, that place opposite Capricorn is in Taurus. So that's a nice financial reward point, right? Yeah, we like that. So now that we got that going, okay, is it Taurus? I don't know. I'm going to have to check it. I think it's Cancer. I think it's the beginning of Cancer. It's the beginning of June. Okay. Yeah, because it's cardinal sign. Cardinal sign would be opposite. But it's quincunx. Not. Okay, so anyway. Sign up for the email list. I'll put it on the thing. I didn't really go into it for this one. Okay, so look, we're going to look in depth at that, okay? It's going to be super. Now, look, what I'm going to put down there is going to be super practical, because it's going to basically be what I did early this year for the Scorpio season and for this Capricorn season coming up, right? The Yule season. And this stuff has been pretty accurate. I mean, it's pretty wild how accurate it was, and I had no idea when I was doing it where I would be personally, but it has been wild. Okay, now I'm so happy that many of you are taking the time to comment on the feelings of the day, because this is very important, because it just adds to the vibe, right? It adds to the community, and I love it. Today is going to show us that by releasing the nonsense that we may be holding on to too tightly, that's going to be the key that liberates us into fully stepping into a higher form of yourself, okay? A higher form of ourselves. There's something charismatic about this. Perhaps it's it is a way of communicating that you haven't tried before, okay? This isn't about, whatever it is. This is about what you can do, okay? So there's something there, and I'm not sure what that something is, but it's definitely something that's going to win minds and influence people in a sort of way, right? And I say that because it's not what I'm doing. It's what the chart's saying, okay? It's what the chart's indicating with that Mercury, Sextile, Pluto, social change in Aquarius, right? Innovation, invention, stuff like that, right? Eccentric. A unique expression of something, right? Now, the moon is signaling that she's ready to give up on the nonsense as she goes past that south node. Reminds us of it, right? It just takes us right into it. And this is where it goes intuitively for me, right? So we go into that, okay? And she's ready to give up on the nonsense, the distractions, and the hype. What is real? Well, is it physical or is it metaphysical? Well, if it is, either or, does that matter? Well, the moon opposing direct Neptune is in the perfect place to ask these questions, especially after the moon sweeps past the south node. This harkens back to the last eclipse, right, because that eclipse was at that south nodal point. And those eclipses, they don't go away. It's a cycle within a cycle within a cycle one of my favorite things to say about astrology. You know, the petals of Venus, the retrogrades, the Mercury retrogrades, the Mars cycles, Jupiter cycle, Uranus cycles, all that stuff. Pluto. We just entered a new Pluto cycle, right? Pluto changed signs. Neptune's going to change signs again. Saturn's going to change sign. A new cycle, a new cycle, a new cycle. Cycles within cycles. Now, this is going to go 15 minutes if I don't wrap this up, right? Okay, so, look, the next eclipse, think about this. The vibrations from that eclipse, the eclipse that passed in, was that in September? Probably, right? So the September eclipse that passed, we are now still feeling those vibrations, and we're starting to turn the corner of them because we start to build up to the next eclipse as we go beyond this point, right? The next eclipse will be in Pisces. It's going to probably be the longest duration of an eclipse in centuries. So we're talking, in terms of minutes of darkness and stuff like that, not visible from the United States. However, it's still going to be there and it's still significant. Now, the eclipses, they don't go away, right? They stay there with us. And the next eclipse will have us grasping at the darkest of mysteries that many have not yet dared to approach because of that extended period of darkness. Now, look, it's Friday. And a good time can be had, okay? Money spent on gifts should be either for the home or highly sentimental in nature. And this is going to make them really successful for the coming season. Just telling you. I got that Jupiter influence in this chart, right? Choose things together for a change and let love take you on a little adventure. Possibly today, possibly tomorrow. Who knows? Whenever. Remember, it's not when it perfects. It can be within 48 hours before, 48 hours after. That's the way this always works, right? Sometimes it just catches up. Sometimes it presages it. So in 1878, Joseph Pulitzer begins publishing the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, in case you were wondering where the Pulitzer Prize came from. That's where it is. And also on this date, in 1901, Guglielmo Marconi receives the first wireless signal. It's the Morse code letter S. 3 dots, right? Doot, doot, doot. From England at a receiver on Signal Hill in Newfoundland, Canada. And our birth is in 1833. It's a gentleman by the name of Matthias Hohner. Now, if you're a musician, you might be like, Hohner. Oh, I know what that is. Those are harmonicas. Yes, he's a German manufacturer of the harmonica, born in Trossingen, Germany, and he died in 1902. And that's all I have for you. So, thank you so much for all the love, guys. Keep it coming, okay? I like the shares. I like to see the shares. I like to see the saves for later. I'd like to see all that stuff. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Especially when I'm busy out on the road. I didn't even get a chance to comment back to everybody today because I've been pretty busy. But I will get to it because I always do. Okay, so our keyword is shedding, as in shedding those past baggages and stuff like that and what no longer serves you, all right? And our color is pastel green. Today's tough energy for a lot of people, though, because it's difficult to grasp. Today's a 5. Happy astrocatting.